Howdy YouTube, Mike Howell here for Naps, New Age Pipe Smokers. I hope y'all are doing well this morning. It's snowy as fuck here, as y'all can see. It's just icy and snowy enough to make my morning commute to work a bit of a pain in the ass, but not quite icy and snowy enough to stay home. We're supposed to get 1 to 3 inches over the day today, which we got a whole bunch of freezing rain last night, so there's ice and slush underneath all this nonsense. And tonight we're supposed to get another 3 to 5 and another 5 to 8 tomorrow, I think. So lots of fun. I was actually hoping that it wouldn't be that it would be bad enough that I wouldn't have to go to work this morning, because they were expecting the freezing rain to cause a whole lot of ice to accumulate, but it really didn't too bad on the roads. Only on porches and bridges and overpasses and things like that are bad. But luckily for me, I'm working pretty close to home today, only about a mile down the road, so there's a couple good hills in that trip, but if I'm careful, it should be fine. The Ford Transit is not a vehicle known for its great harsh weather capabilities, but it'll be okay. Loaded down fairly well, so it's a front wheel drive. Should be fine. Days where trials and tribulations pop up, whether little or big, which is this pretty little one, make me think of an interesting story. I've heard several pipers and YouTube presenters that are part of the Naps community have posted some videos where they read scripture and things like that that are inspirational to them. And although I am not a part of the religions that they most often quote, I really appreciate different spiritual teachings for the things they can help us with in our everyday lives. They can help us deal with things. I'm very much of the don't throw the baby out with the bathwater camp when it comes to religious practices and spiritual teachings, just because some aspects of them might be disagreeable to me or might be even harmful does not mean that I want to throw out the good teachings right along with everything, because none of them are wholly bad. So the story that it makes me think of is it's a Buddhist parable. I'm a Theravada Buddhist myself. This is not a Theravada Buddhist teaching. I want to say it's a Zen teaching, but I'm not sure. It's been retold in so many different forms. So there's a guy walking in the jungle, just in the middle of the pretty dense jungle, just walking along, trying to get from point A to point B. And as he's going down the path, he looks over and notices peeking out of the brush right as it's getting ready to attack a big-ass tiger, just huge. It's looking right at him and getting ready to, how cats look when they're about ready to pounce. And he said, "Oh my God," and took off running. The tiger, of course, chased after him. It only lasted for a few seconds, but something like that's got to feel like it lasts an eternity. He's crashing through the underbrush, trying to get away from this tiger. And right in front of him, he sees an opening, like a big hole. It looks like an old well or something like that. And there's some trees around it and some tree roots growing into the well. He sees this in a flash. He thinks, well, hell, what have I got to lose? Leaps into the hole. And he's able, on his way down, to grab onto a tree root about halfway down this pretty big hole. And he's like, oh my God, barely catches himself. But he's holding on to this tree root with his feet against the side of the hole, just barely holding on. He looks up and the tiger's right at the top of the hole, just like, motherfucker, I'm gonna eat you, And he's like, oh my God. But he thinks, all right, well, I'm safe right here on this vine. I wonder if I can climb down. He looks down and shit. Below him is a big ass poisonous snake. Huge, 7-8 feet long, big through the middle. It's already pissed off, reared up all. And he's like, oh my God, there's a huge snake right below me. There's a huge ass tiger right above me. The tiger's still sitting up there just licking his lips like, Well, he's like, well, this is a pretty shitty position, but I'm okay for the moment. I'm holding onto this tree root. Seems like it's holding me pretty well. The snake below me can't get to me. The tiger above me can't get to me. I'll just have to wait one of them out, and when one of them goes, I'll be fine. As he's thinking this, he looks up and sees crawling out of a little hole in the side of the well, 2 little mice crawling onto the tree roots, holding him up. A black one and a white one. And they start gnawing at the tree root, just chewing away at it. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? Hey! Shakes his tree root trying to get him off, but they just stick on there like you wouldn't believe, just gnawing away at the tree root. He's like, oh my God, they're going to chew through this root and I'm going to die. And he starts shaking the root again, trying to get him off. Now, he didn't realize it, but the root that tree was attached to was right next to the edge of the hole. And in that tree was a beehive. The bees didn't really get too agitated. They didn't know what was going on. They couldn't see him. But the hive was shaking because he was pulling on the root, which was causing the tree to vibrate and shake. The hive started to shake. And as the hive shook, a little bit of honey dripped out and started to drip down. And sitting there, holding on to that root that was about to give way, with a poisonous snake below him and a big-ass tiger above him, the man saw that honey about to drip down, and he opened his mouth and caught a drip of honey. And that honey was the most delicious honey he had ever tasted. The end. Yep, that's the end. It sounds stupid and ridiculous, I know, but there's a moral to this story, and a whole lot of symbolism. I think most people could see it being a parable that the tiger above, the snake below, holding on for dear life, is a pretty fair assessment of how a lot of us have to live our lives every day. There's always one problem or another, sometimes serious, sometimes not so serious, sometimes life-threatening. And we're beset from all sides, it seems like. We're barely holding on. The little mice, the black mouse and the white mouse, they represent night and day, time ticking by. Just wearing along, wearing our precarious hold away. Because eventually, our hold does loosen, the root gets chewed through, we all die one way or another. Now, the moral of the story is, because that happens, because our root eventually gets chewed through, eventually we fall or have to climb up or what have you, we have to look for those little things along the way. We have a choice. Do we look for the honey and taste it and enjoy it for all its sweet, delicious goodness when it comes? Or do we ignore it and allow it to drip in our face and then end up in the tiger or the snake's belly anyway? It's really all up to us. Anyway, that's another silly ass story from me. This one's not so much funny as it is just, a silly story. But I hope y'all have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.